All right, everyone, we are back. We've got to give you some more information because there's so much the work you guys do to impact the lives of so many people is so important, because how often do people end up just down and out in life? It starts to affect them psychologically, you can imagine, too. And then you got a whole other set of problems to deal with. Somebody who had dealt with a little bit of depression myself, going through my recovery from the accident everybody knows I was in, when hit by a drunk driver in a terrible situation. But how often do we all go through something difficult? If you're not addressing these issues going on early, you're going to end up making life more difficult. So I told everybody in the last show, if you missed the first show, the interview we did with these gentlemen just a few minutes ago, it's airing on ABC, and it'll be on we'll give everybody a copy. They can put it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Face Chat, all that stuff.
Any new thing that exists.
all the things. If you can think of any place you can see media, we like for people to put it out there because this makes an impact and helps people. But we talked about it. We gave a little bit of warning about what we're going to talk about now, and that is, what's the big mistake that a lot of people make? And you can imagine, when you're talking about your livelihood and your health, therefore your livelihood, what's the mistake people make? And so, guys, tell me, what's a big mistake that most people make when they're in this realm thinking about what they should do?
It's not really a mistake, I guess, on the consumer itself, but a good thing to look out for other clinics like ours. There's a lot of them. A lot of them. Some do absolutely great business. Some do extremely shady business. But that's kind of just the bear that happens. But focus on what your clinic is pushing. If they're pushing nothing but sales, numbers, all this kind of stuff, or they're trying to push off 10 things on you right in your from the jump, that's a sign that they're more focused on the money aspect than they are the actual help of the person. Now, is the money aspect great? Yes, we're all in business. That's silly to say money's not an issue, but the thing is, especially how we approach it, if you come in, you want to hop on 3 things, we're going to talk you down off of that and do one thing at a time, so you know how your body's actually reacting to that one thing. Then you know how you feel, then you can get going to the next thing and kind of go so on and so forth. There's a lot of clinics we've had experience with that people transfer over from that are on 7 or 8 things, and they don't know what's doing what. And you notice all the advertising a lot of these clinics put up, it's very, very seldomly is it educational. It's most of the time going to be the new sale, you got to discount this, discount this, discount that. But they're very, very rarely any kind of education behind it, because they don't have the education to put forth, or they don't want you educated, one of the two. So we try to be the exact opposite and educate as much as humanly possible, and take the slow and steady route to where giving you one thing at a time, so you know exactly how that one particular peptide or TRT, whatever it may be, is actually making you feel, so you know what you're spending your money on.
John, I can imagine that's something that impacts the diagnosis and how you treat some people all the time. What kind of adaptations have you seen here to help people?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the biggest thing is just getting to know the patient and looking at everything going on so that you can adjust protocols and everything that need to be for them, right? Because if you don't know what's going on and I don't have a conversation with Carter to find out what's happening to him, how do I know by looking at this blood work what matches what, right? Because different vitamins affect different parts of your endo system, and so it's one of these things that just, it has to be dialed in correctly in individual needs, and most people aren't going to take the time to do that, and we believe that's what really sets us apart.
Yeah, you made a great point there. I felt when you're talking about the fact that if you treat more than one thing at a time, you don't know what it was that fixed the problem. As an IT guy, guys, in my IT background, if we made 2 changes and then the problem was resolved, I'm on the phone with Microsoft going, I made 2 different things here happen, but I'm not sure which one. Now we got to undo one, redo the other, and now you just caused the whole problem.
That's
similar to the way you treat with people.
That is dead on. If I give you 3 different peptides at one time, and peptides aren't cheap necessarily, you don't know what's doing what one's working for you, because just because a peptide is supposed to do this, everyone's going to react different to it. You might have a very good experience with it, you might have a very bad experience with it, just not feel anything at all. So it just really depends on the person, and if you're doing too many things at once, there's no way to pinpoint which one is actually working for you.
Now, John, there's so many different possible reactions, I guess. You've got to be very careful with the protocol, so you make sure that you treat somebody efficiently and not just throwing a bunch of stuff at them, and you got to see how they respond.
Yeah, at the end of the day, with anything that's medical related, right, you've never seen a drug or a medication advertised that doesn't talk about possible side effects, right? So with anything, too much of anything is bad. If we drink enough water, it'll kill us right now, right? So at the end of the day, too much of a good thing is bad. And that's why you need medical professionals to understand it, so they can start you out on the right type of dosing and hopefully prevent all side effects from ever happening. But if they do, they can fix them for you and help you get through them.
Yeah, and that's where you need some guys who have the experience you guys have too. when you're dealing with these things. We're fragile creatures, and if you too much of anything, I didn't realize that, but it's true. You can die from drinking too much water.
Yeah.
And water's like the sustenance of life, right? But if you take too much of it, even water can kill you. So I can only imagine if you're doing peptides and enzymes, hormones, wow, you've got to be careful with what you're giving people because they're balanced. And how you're saying that the problem a lot of people run into is they're jamming too much in all at once, trying to get to a quick fix and trying to sell them a bunch of stuff just to get some revenue generated, but that's not how you fix the problem. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are very money driven, which everybody is. However, there's got to be, when you're dealing with somebody's health, there's got to be the money needs to take the back burner. You're going to make money if you do the right thing. You know what I mean? So just by doing the right thing and taking care of that patient, the money's going to come in later just because you are doing the right thing, taking your time, and that person's going to tell the other person that, hey, they took their time, they're different than most places is. So that's what we try to do, focus on the person, the money will come on the back end.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Took out the pencil, everybody. Take note. Do what's right, and the money will come. Do what you love, do what's right, and financially things will go your way. And how many people want to take that shortcut, and especially in an emerging area where we didn't really know what hormones were up until, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years ago, I guess. And now we've got these treatments and peptides and all this new technology. Don't just jump into something because the guy says, oh, yeah, try this and try that, and self-diagnosis. There's a question for you. How often do people try to self-diagnose themselves and say, I've got this figured out, and then they walk into you and they're like, I tried all these things. You're like, oh, brother, now you just created a mess.
It happens quite often. Somebody gets on Google or YouTube or listens to a TikTok video, and all of a sudden they're the expert. Those ones they could be a little difficult ones because there's a saying. What was it? You don't know what you never truly learned. If you heard something, you never really truly learned it. You know what I mean? It's very, very hard. It's hard to unlearn that. That's something you never technically learned in the first place. And when these guys come in and they think they learned something when all they did was really hear something, right. They think they're dead right, and trying to talk that back and explain why that's wrong, and then try to move forward with what's right can be a very difficult task. But if we have enough time to where they're willing to actually sit down and listen to what we're doing, what we're saying, and why we're doing what we're doing, it all plays out in the end. But that happens, very, very frequently, very frequently.
Is that something you see a lot of times too, John?
Yeah, and I would say it's probably more prevalent in male patients than females, to be real honest.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, the other honesty, I joke, but I always tell people, I'm like, female patients sit down, you start asking them what's going on, they'll tell you everything. Guy patients, you got to find a way to dig in sometimes and be like, listen, it's okay. I'm a safe place, right? Because men are afraid to put their ego to the side sometimes and admit some of the things that could be going on, right? Who wants to admit they got erectile dysfunction to a guy they just met 5 seconds ago? Like, hey, John, it's nice to meet you. Nothing works downstairs. Can you fix me? Like, that's not what people want to talk about, right? So for us, it's really like we create a safe space and an environment that we joke that, we're as clean as a medical facility and it'll have that feel, but you should feel like you're at a barber shop as far as your comfort level of what you disclose to us. Gotcha.
Well, it's important. Yeah, communication, making sure that all the lines of reference are out there for people to be connected and get the information they know that they need. So, guys, don't be afraid to talk about this. This is something, and don't become YouTube official, right? How often do people I just watched this interview on Face Chat or Snapbook or whatever. I see. I'm trying to mix
one of those.
But now I know everything. I'm going to go in and tell the doctor, tell the experts how this should be done. And you got to come on. So at least go in and talk to some experts and talk to our friends here, John and Scott. These guys really do know their stuff and doing this for a long time to make a difference. Summit Rejuvenation Centers, everybody, and great information. These guys can help you to get back and be healthy and be vibrant again, so you can enjoy your little time on this planet. Why would you want to waste any time doing that? Well, tell me, guys, how has technology affected your industry? Being somebody who's been in this for a long time, you've probably seen some revelations, some changes. But what happens with our technology these days? And what are the good things and what are the bad?
It's helped us quite a bit. It makes everything from our out-of-state patients much more smooth and seamless as far as trying to communicate with them. If you are a patient with our state program, we have what's called our patient portal. You're able to communicate 7 days a week with our staff. So if there's any kind of questions, concerns, we can get that knocked out so it's not bugging you all weekend long waiting for us to open back up. As far as stuff, even like calling stuff in the pharmacies, it's all automated now through a portal. You don't have to call in a script or whatever it may be, write one hand, all that kind of stuff. It's helped us a lot in that aspect. On technology, as far as everyone thinks they know everything now, that one's kind of a negative, I guess, with the technology. technology. But other than that, it's been a positive thing for us.
Okay. John, how do you think technology has affected what you guys are doing?
The same. That's the biggest thing is it allows us to be able to communicate more effectively and efficiently with our patients and more timely, really. It's like without patient portals that were HIPAA compliant like ours are, we wouldn't be able to do that. Somebody would have to wait until Monday morning to get an answer to a question that they might have on Friday night. Our guys aren't waiting that long. You're getting an answer in less than 24 hours from somebody on our staff at all times.
Okay, so yeah, you've got the communication protocols in place and HIPAA compliance. I know I deal with technology. CRMs are important to manage your clients, but at the same time, if it's not HIPAA compliant, they can't use it. So then that breaks down the communication. You want to make sure that everybody does that information, so then you can send them a reply. And they can say, oh, okay, now I know what, I don't need to sweat all weekend worried about this way I think I'm feeling. And then you say, oh, come on in, we've got some a treatment for you, some hormones that can help level that out and take care of. Now we kind of help figure out what the issue was and not something to stress out about as much.
Sure.
Okay. Very good stuff. Well, tell me a time when you guys, I know you got to have a lot of examples, but give me a couple examples of clients that you really helped and what was going on, and then what did you do to help them, and how did it change their lives?
My previous life, I was an iron worker. I worked in construction and stuff, and I had an iron worker buddy of mine that came in, overweight guy, kind of just the roughneck looking guy, right? And he had 3 or 4 kids. And they would always want to go to the pool, and he would never want to go because when we went to the pool, it'd give him massive anxiety. And on top of that, when you get off work, he'd do nothing, just kind of crap on the couch and just be there, not be active in the kid's life at all. That was one of his complaints when he came in, what he wanted to get on therapy for, because he felt like he wasn't being the dad he needed to be. It was about 3.5, 4 months later. Not only was he going to the pool with his kids, he was walking to the pool with his kids. So he was doing something, the exercise aspect came in, he worked his butt off. It wasn't all hormones, he worked his butt off as well. But that hormone side was able to kind of get rid of that anxiety a little bit to where he can start being a dad again. And that's verbatim when he called me and told me that was this happened 4 years ago. And it'll stick out to me for the rest of my life that he wanted to thank me for making me become a father again. It was almost emotional because how can you top that, man? And the fatherhood for me is the best thing on planet Earth. And to feel like you've lost that, not knowing how to get that back, and somebody give that back to you, it was an absolutely incredible experience.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're here on this little planet to help the next generation. When a father doesn't have the ability to go out and take care of his kids because he's always so tired and worn out, something's going on there, and you guys are able to help people to do that. Now he can walk to the pool. I imagine that pool was probably a couple of miles, or at least a few hundred yards walk for the guy. And he couldn't do that before. Now he can. John, you got an example of somebody you think you've really helped?
For me, I'd say that just, and I'm going to put a general group out there, but we've got a ton of guys who come to us, and women too, that tell us that we've saved their marriages. And I don't mean from just like a physical standpoint, because obviously physically that's great that you're getting things back in the bedroom, things like that. But for the most part, it's coming from a standpoint of like, my husband was depressed, he was upset, he didn't want to be around me or the kids. You know, he doesn't want to do anything because he doesn't enjoy anything anymore. The enjoyment of life has disappeared from this man's life. And unfortunately, if you're that spouse and you're those children, it reflects onto you poorly, correct? And so when we fix that and these guys' mental health increases and goes back to what it was, their sleep patterns go back, that is when I'll never stop doing what we do, because we've had more people that when we see them in public will still to this day just run up and give us hugs all the time and tell us thank you for what we've done for them. And like wives too, like, oh my gosh, you saved us. We love you guys so much. Thank you. And they've probably sent 15, 20 patients a piece, some of these guys, into us. You think about that, like what's more rewarding than that? Nothing. At least not for me.
Well, that's why I said now you're starting to hit home with, I mean, how important is it just to get regular sleep? That's why we put the cowboy hat on everybody. You're really impacting the lifestyles of these families and the way they operate and can take care of their kids and raise their kids. But, I mean, just being tired.
If I was going to give young people a bonus tip of today of the one thing you should not listen to in the real world that you're going to hear everywhere in social media, you don't need sleep. Sleep when you die. Sleep when you die. Sleep 4 hours. Sleep no hours. It's fine. Team no sleep this. Team... Sleep will ruin your hormones and make you feel terrible at a later age. So if you want to spend a bunch of money on your health, don't sleep. If you don't, sleep.
Okay, because sleep does help the body recover.
That's the only time you can recover fully, is when you're asleep.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's common sense, but there's a lot of people who will say, oh, no, I don't need a lot of sleep. I can just keep going. For a long time when I was going so hard, I just would wake up and I was like, I'm still feeling that like weight on my shoulder, just something just drained, but I got to get up and start going to work again. Terrible, because it's really affecting your hormones and the way your body is rejuvenating itself. Or
Yeah,
attempted to. And
I
that's
did
what
the
you guys
exact same thing. I was that guy. Up until I was 31 years old, I never slept more than 3 or 4 hours in a night, ever. I would go to sleep at midnight, wake up at 4 a.m. You know, I mean, that was just a normal thing for me. So if anybody understands how bad it ruined them, I was that guy that didn't listen to myself. That's why I'm telling you, young people, listen to me now and take the tip, right? Like, take advantage of this.
Yes, do get that sleep because it helps the body to recover. What's so important about sleep? Is it a matter of it when the body's recovering and it's producing hormones? Is that where it does some of the rebuilding? Why
It's
is sleep?
literally the only time of the day when you're getting in that REM cycle of sleep that you are actually getting your body's recovering. Your body doesn't recover at all from all the stressors, all the training, all the whatever it may be, until you go to sleep. And the messed up part is if you're go and you don't sleep, that messes with your hormones, but sometimes it messes up to the point to where they don't recover, and then you can't sleep because of your hormones. So it's a vicious cycle. That's why we hear all the time that people are sleeping 8 hours, but they're so tired as hell when they wake back up because their hormones are messed up. So they're getting the sleep, but they're not getting that rest, not getting the recovery, to not be able to get in that REM cycle of sleep. The hormones, the hormone balances messes that up. So if you get a hormones balance where they need to be, it can help you get in that REM cycle of sleep to where you wake up and like you're having crazy vivid dreams because you've been sleeping for the past 10 years, but not getting restful sleep. And when you get that sleep, that REM cycle come back in, it is very, very impressive. You realize how important sleep really is.
All right, everybody. Now I'm feeling like, gee, how important would it be can somebody just come in and get a checkup from you? What is the process a little bit with regard to how this and what does somebody need to get diagnosed so they can understand what they're missing?
So the process is super easy. You can go to our website and make an appointment online for a consultation, or you can just call any location and set it up. Super easy. Come in. Consultations are absolutely complimentary. We don't charge anything for them. So if you show up, you sit down with our nurse practitioner, and it doesn't make sense for you to move forward in the process or do blood work, no harm, no foul. We all shake hands. We love you. We send you on your way. If I was to give a bonus tip of advice, when you're young and healthy, get blood work done. I'm not saying get blood work done with us, but get blood work done somewhere with hormone levels so you have something to go back to when you are old and your hormone levels disappear. I would love to have something of when I was 21 or 22 years old to know how I felt, because I felt amazing. I was a rocket ship back then. I could do anything. Now, without hormones, I'm a whole different person. We can go into that story another time, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's really the best advice I could give somebody, though. Yeah,
and it's a matter of how often the people don't take the time to deal with this issue, and they're going, man, it just gets worse and worse, or it compounds, or at least it causes other problems in their life, and then one thing leads to another, and then how often people have heart failure? I mean, what do you?
If you don't take time for your health now, your body's going to make you take time later. You know what I mean? So it's going to be one of them things where you can do it on your own accord, or eventually it's going to come to the point to where your body is not going to give you an option to take the time. And when that's when it's too late. You can't catch it and you can't fix it, or God forbid, you can fix it. It's going to be a lot more difficult than you were from starting to catch it a lot much earlier.
There was another important one, everybody. If you don't take time for your body now, your body will make you take time later. Write this down, everybody. These are important things. And get a checkup here with Summit Rejuvenation Centers. Scott and John, you guys seem like you've got so much valuable information. It seems almost like it's common sense, but people just don't want to deal with these things. And then who do they talk to? And people are afraid to go see the doctor. This isn't like going to see the doctor at all. This is going to talk to some guys who have some treatment that they can say, here's some basic things before we get too involved with, okay, you're going to have you're not doing surgeries here. You're going to help people just revitalize themselves with the important things. Hormone levels have become so important. A lot of people don't realize it's over time deteriorating. We talked about it a little bit more in the first show. And tell me if I'm fair to say this, but when we lived to be 55, 57 years old, the body could maintain the hormone levels necessary a little bit longer to get a little further along that path. But now when we're going to 60, 70, and 80 years old, now we're having problems. We've got to deal with these things.
It's just a whole different world from back then. They the stuff wasn't in our food. It wasn't in our lotions, our soaps, all the stuff that the females put on for as far as makeup and all that stuff. It's what in the candles. All these EDCs weren't around then. So not only were you not living as long, you weren't having these things attack your systems at all times. Now we're living a lot longer, and everything we use, from anything from diapers to any kind of plastics that are in glasses, lotions, shampoos, soaps, EDCs are in absolutely everything. Plastic water bottles, plastic containers, everything has EDCs in it. So you're getting attacked from 150 different things every single day. So not only are we living longer, we're getting attacked a hell of a lot more than we were previously with these EDCs. So it's kind of a losing battle as far as where the hormones go.
Okay, and our technology that I could espouse, great to keep on top of technology, but they're dealing with things that we don't really know the long-term effects for the way we produce plastics and the way we process meats. I mean, just all the different things we can do. John, how many problems are we potentially creating for ourselves on our little planet we don't understand?
Yeah, I mean, think about cell phones, right? Like, we have a cell phone attached to us at all times, and we don't know exactly what what frequencies are coming through on this thing that have been in our pocket every day for the last 20 years, right? Or have been attached, even our headphones, the Bluetooth headphones we keep that are attached to these two things that go, what's it doing? Running between your brain, right? So, I mean, we don't know what those effects are because they haven't been around long enough, but I'm sure we're going to find out soon enough. And it's a scary road because so far what we've realized is that very rarely does it make us healthier.
Right.
I don't know if you've noticed that, but sitting in front of a TV all day, once we got that, didn't make us healthier.
Yeah.
Being in front of social media all day didn't make kids healthier. These things that, provide us ways to not do physical activities or to communicate with someone in person like we're doing, they very rarely bring us long-term health benefits.
Right. And there's just so much that can be affecting somebody's hormone levels and what EDCs?
EDCs, it's endocrine disrupting chemicals. Like I said, they're in everything from the water we drink to the stuff our water is stored in. Anything that has a smell has EDC, any kind of fire retardant, makeup, shampoo, cologne. Wow. I mean, anything plastic. The little things that people wear glasses, the ear covers on the glasses, the nose cover, the plastics, the shower curtains. I mean, absolutely everything you can think of has EDCs. When you look at, I made a list on our like 50 everyday household items we use on our social media page on Instagram, and people are like, "There's no way." It's like, yeah, there is. You just don't know till you know. And how often would you research EDCs? No one would. just me. So it's wild when you realize that our endocrine system is being attacked from 50 different angles every single day.
Wow, and yeah, you may not be able to determine specifically what's causing the deficiency, but you can certainly replenish it, right? And you guys help people to get that back on track because, wow, it's better to know there's a problem and fix it than it is to just act like, oh, I'm going to take some more vitamin C or self-diagnose or whatever people may do.
You don't know till you know, and hopefully whenever we get our labs are so thorough, we can give you a good idea of how you're functioning from the inside. Even if you decide not to do treatment, that's perfectly fine. Like John was saying, our younger guys need to get blood work so you have a baseline. If you don't have a baseline, who gets blood work when they're 18 and healthy on their hormones? No one. But if you did, you would know how when you're 35, why you felt so good at 18. Just get your numbers to match when you're 18, and you'll probably feel pretty damn good. You know what I mean?
John?
Yeah, I'd say my part of this that I'd add to that is that, as we age, for some strange reason, people keep telling everyone that you're supposed to be tired, you're supposed to feel bad, you're supposed to not have energy, you're supposed to have these things happen. And the reality is, I've got some 70-year-old patients that would tell you that's not true. Because at 70 years old, they're looking really good, being very active, and feel amazing still. So it doesn't have to be that way. So if somebody's telling you that, more likely than not, let's take the common sense approach you mentioned earlier, and let's go somewhere that wants us to feel good and not feel bad.
Wow. Yes. Very vital information here, everybody, because there's so much your life depends on just to keep yourself in a normal function. Like I said, I have a friend who ended up having a pancreas that is failing because of some other treatment that he got from something else that was supposed to fix cholesterol or something like that. Yeah. And next thing they're going, oh yeah, your hormones are way out of whack and your pancreas is about to fail. So now he's got to walk around with a pump because he didn't get diagnosed. Probably if he'd met with you guys prior, they just said, hey, you're just low here and low here. Take this natural supplement or a treatment, but you don't need some drug that was causing problems.
Yeah, cholesterol is a whole other subject. You ain't got enough time for that one. That's a whole other subject.
Okay, well, get in to talk to the experts, everybody. But Summit Rejuvenation Centers, and you said there are how many locations here?
We've got 3 locations. We've got South County, Chesterfield, and Wentzville.
Okay. And that's based out here, right here in St. Louis. You can get the help that you need to make sure that you stay on task there with your health and wellness, which is important. So tell me a big challenge that you guys have dealt with regard to your business, helping people, or a challenge that people most often deal with themselves when they first come in. You're going, here's the same problem again. What's one of the biggest challenges you guys run into, you see all the time?
It kind of stems back to the last thing. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and people come in with this definitive thought process that they are 100% right on. For instance, testosterone causing prostate cancer. That was one that was based on a study back in the 1940s on a study of 4 people, and that was it.
Okay.
And that one thing has stuck for the past 60 years, 80 years, and just recently has been debunked. But we still have primary care physicians scaring these patients, telling them that they take testosterone, it's going to cause cancer. And that's just absolutely unequivocally not true. And it's been debunked 35 times at this point. So fighting against that, somebody else's doctor that's you're supposed to trust, and why wouldn't you trust? They're telling you it's going to cause X, Y, Z, and we have to show paperwork and show studies that no, just give this to your doctor, blah blah. So fighting those things have been difficult, but luckily. My thought process is if I can't explain it to a 4th grader, I don't know it well enough. So I try to learn something so in depth, backwards and forward, that I can break that down to my staff, my team, and our team. We can kind of all communicate and figure out different ways to explain it to patients. Say, you know what, that was an old thought process. This is why they thought that. However, this is the new thought process. It's been debunked, and so on and so forth. That's probably our biggest hiccup.
John, how often do you run into that?
Oh, all the time. So, I'd say that the majority of people we meet with, it's like we're sitting here having a conversation and a consultation, and you'll hear multiple times from people that they feel like they're functioning at, 40%, 50%. And it's like, you're comparing that to your old 100%, correct? Yes, I'm not comparing it to somebody else's 100%. It's my own, but I feel like I'm at 40 or 50%. Wow. And you think about that, where else in your life would you be okay with that? Besides maybe a corporate job that you're getting a paycheck no matter what, and they're not going to fire you, right? Like, okay, I'll put in 40% effort, and that's fine. Keep paying me. But in your actual life, in your day-to-day, if you're putting in 40% effort to your spouse or your children, man, you might want to rethink it, because you're not going to get good results. And so that's really the biggest thing, is that how can you get results when you just don't feel like yourself?
Important stuff here, everybody. We need to make sure that these questions are tackled, and you've got some experts to address this. Tell them what's an objection somebody has. What's a question somebody has? I've heard, are these some things? Here's something I'm worried about. What's going to happen? What do you deal with when people come in saying some of the concerns they have?
The biggest thing is like testosterone was taboo, right? People think of it as like steroid and juiced up cycles, and they think that they're coming into a place and it's like, oh, all you do is create bodybuilders. Like me and Scott are sitting here writing the Olympic bodybuilding protocols, for the Olympia or something crazy. And
Right.
It's like, no. Let me make sure you guys understand something. That's nothing about what Summit Rejuvenation Centers does, right? We are a wellness clinic to get you back to feeling like you felt before. We're not trying to create anything else. And it's really overcoming those things. And it can be good or bad, right? Sometimes it's great that we get a chance to go through it, and then somebody goes, wow, that's the perfect thing. And sometimes we get a guy that goes, man, I thought I was coming in here to get a bodybuilding cycle. And it's like, you're not the right fit for us, So at the end of the day, it's just going through that and having a good conversation, though.
Well, everybody, we have just covered 2 half-hour shows now. Incredible information. Summit Rejuvenation Centers. Meet with these guys. Scott and John, experts, can help you make sure you get through and become healthy. Take care of your family and do what's right to enjoy this little time you have on this planet. You're watching the Your Little Castle Show.